Goodness gracious, welcome back to the Watching Now podcast from Couch Soup. The delirious Doctor and the regal Ruby Sunday are back for the sixth episode of Doctor Who Rogue. Goodness gracious, don't we have a lot to say about this one? Don't know why I'm turning into Mrs. Doubtfire, but never mind. Without further ado, let me introduce to you our panel, the Countess Charlotte.
Help is on the way, dear.
Hello!
The Baron Ben.
Hey, I'm dying. Don't mind me. I'll be replaced by a shapeshifter any minute.
The Duke Drew.
I'm just here for the cosplay. Don't mind me.
And me, Ian, the lowly pauper. In it.
In it.
In it. We've got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
We have very much a Bridgerton episode. I don't know what Bridgerton is. Maybe someone else does, but I
can
don't
help
know
you
what
with
it
that.
is.
Bridgerton is Jane Austen fan fiction. So it's taking the Regency era of England and kind of flipping it on its head a little bit, taking out a little bit of the stereotypes of race and things like that. There's a lot of race mingling, which didn't really happen, but it's fun.
Let me put it this way. Imagine if everyone in Downton Abbey was extremely horny and had way more sex.
It's much like Outlander in the fact that it's based on books, and there's actually less sex in the TV show than there is in the books.
It's the kind of shit that I don't watch. Sorry, Netflix.
Yeah, same.
It's fine. It's fair. It's not for everybody.
Got a lot to talk about today, so let's go straight into this non-spoiler review. Brief overview. The Doctor and Ruby travel back in time to 1813 for a Bridgerton, I guess, inspired party. Unfortunately, there are shape-shifting aliens being tracked by a handsome rogue bounty hunter. Rogue's his name as well. We'll get to that.
I think that this show needs to stop giving me so many names to call my ex-husband. He is now Lord Stilton. A very difficult cheese. It was very fun. I'm a Jane Austen freak anyway. So I mean, I have a pop figure of Jane Austen down here. So I'm a nerd. I liked seeing the costumes. I liked seeing some of the Bridgerton-esque kind of things. This episode gets a little weird and gets a little too into old stuff that we've kind of seen before.
I like Stilton as a cheese, so you know that's it's not.
Yeah,
It's okay. I don't.
it is, but I could see it is slightly difficult.
Yeah,
The smell,
it is. Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
little
true.
pungent.
Yeah,
You know?
okay.
Yeah.
Man, I love this episode. I think Ncuti goes down as like the for first season. He is the most like he knows his Doctor Who, like who he is as the Doctor better than I think anyone, maybe even better than Matt Smith. I thought Matt Smith, like the first episode, like kind of knocked it out of the park. Like he kind of knew who his Doctor was going to be, like a little bit more like, like defiant, like Ncuti just like the charisma on this guy is just incredible. Like he just runs it, buddy. It's so good. He makes me laugh. Every time he's on screen I smile. He's charming. When he turns on like kind of like action mode, it's there. And there's so much emotion. He's like probably the most emotional Doctor I think we've come across in a long time.
Yes.
There's tears of like sorrow, there's tears of happiness. Like it's interesting. I love the commentary on cosplay. I love the Bridgerton of it all. I thought that was fun. It kind of had a little bit of mystery, but also a little bit of like head fake here and there, and then it had some great like little sci-fi moments I thought that were fun too with the Rogue. And I watched it with my wife and her sister, and they really enjoyed it too. So I guess that's sort of like a litmus test for not only Doctor Who fans, but fans that like acquaintances of Doctor Who that aren't really into it but thought the episode was kind of fun with all the pop culture references. Yeah, I really enjoyed this.
I gotta say, man, this episode really wasn't for me in such a way as I'm like, it's not that the story itself was bad. Like having the Doctor have a flash in the pan romance is fine. I mean, technically speaking, it's not so long since he lost his wife and others. Rose, River Song. He's had those. He has romances all the time now. It's fine. What I see my problem with this episode, it just went from like event to event without much like reason or explanation or the typical Doctor Who sci-fi bubble to hand wave why things are happening. Like it's 1813, but the aliens are here. Apparently because of like TV shows from the future, which means they're time travelers. Which by retrospect means that Rogue's also a time traveler. There's not a mention of time travel at all. It's like the show in this seems to act like they're just here. But how are they getting the shows that they've come to cosplay that are not going to take place for at least 200 years in the future? It doesn't really make much sense to me. I feel like that is never explained, and that really jarred on me.
So, summing it up, confusion.
Yeah, confusion. Lots of confusion.
I don't know where I stand with this episode. I kind of like it, and I kind of don't like it, and I kind of like who the Doctor is, and I kind of don't like who the Doctor is. I feel like I'm still getting used to this version of the Doctor. Every Doctor is their own person, right? So, like Peter Capaldi was the grumpy old Doctor. Matt Smith is like the come fight me kind of Doctor. Ncuti's Doctor is the flirtatious, fun-loving, singing, dancing Doctor, and I'm not used to it yet. When I am used to it, I'll probably go back to this and think it was a really good episode. I don't know where I am yet. I'm still getting used to it. The Bridgerton stuff was lost on me because I just asked, what the fuck is Bridgerton? So it didn't really do anything for me on that level. But in general, it was an okay episode. It was like a standalone episode that didn't really contribute anything to the overall lore. Maybe we might get a bit.
I found it funny that the two Brits on this podcast didn't enjoy the British take on the aristocracy of it all. Even though it's a callback to obviously our American show Bridgerton, which is a like alternate reality version of aristocracy and the British culture. So I just find that ironic in some funny, weird way, right? Like we're the two Americans, like me and Charlotte are over here. Yay, Bridgerton! Yay, this is cool. And you guys are like, I don't get it. What is all? I don't understand. What are lords? I don't understand.
I know what lords are.
What do you mean you don't get what's happening on this show? Like, if you didn't know Bridgerton, you should understand.
Yeah,
what the hell's
it's
going
still
on.
Regency England. Like,
Right.
This is just how they behaved in 1813.
Yeah.
Is it though?
Is it?
I'm not sure any of us are there to critique if it's accurate to a T, but
You're making Jane very sad.
Let's go into the recap. Spoilers from here on. If you don't want to hear spoilers, then go away. But come back later. Please come back later. I don't want to be alone with these two Bridgerton-aholics over here.
What are you talking about? I challenge you to a duel, sir.
Now there's a challenge.
10 paces at dawn, sir.
Oh,
I don't know. Is that a Western thing? I fucking don't know.
Right.
So we are back in 1813 in Bath. Not in a bath. That's weird. There's a place called Bath in the southwest of England. It's Bath, not our Bath. There are two gentlemen walking down a pathway. They're dapper gentlemen, and one of them is shagging the other one's sister. And the brother ain't too happy about it. The guy who's the slut, I don't know.
The cad.
The cad, the guy who's a cad is a bit rude about it. And the brother, he takes a turn on a sixpence and starts becoming weird and evil. Grabs him by the lapels, makes lightning shoot through him, and kills him dead. And then he's the cad. The brother's the cad.
Oh, I think he lost the duel.
Yeah, he's like, I challenge you to a duel, sir. Yeah, and he did, I guess, and he was just like, you're more exciting. I like your, like, he was sort of excited by how cavalier and like he just it was like he had more fun in his life than this guy. So he was like, I'll become you, and you don't quite know why.
He was the brother, and he's turned into the guy who's shagging his sister. That's a bit weird for me. Just a little bit weird.
Technically, he wasn't the brother because he was a Choldor, right?
I
So,
know,
right.
but still.
I mean, I feel like you're overthinking this one.
It's the aristocracy that we're all doing it with each other.
Exactly. I mean, look at how inbred the royals are. Let's go.
We get the credits, and then there's a ballroom dancing scene. Yes, that's right. We're about 3 minutes into the episode, and the Doctor and Ruby are dancing. They know all the moves, and that is explained by some sort of psychic link to the TARDIS. All right. So if the TARDIS can do these things, which is like I know kung fu moments from Matrix, right? Why don't they know kung fu? Why?
Well, the Doctor does know Venusian neck snaps and stuff, doesn't he? From the third Doctor times.
But Ruby should know. I mean, maybe Ruby does know kung fu. Later in the episode, she sort of does. But like, he could just make all of his companions like experts in whatever field that he wants with that psychic link to the TARDIS, right?
Yeah, it's a bit odd, isn't it? I mean, how does that explain 11 not being able to dance?
Oh,
Well,
come on. The
they
giraffe
needed-
dance was great.
Yeah. No, the earrings. They had to have the earrings, right? Like that was the thing, right?
Well, yeah, for the movements, but the TARDIS was, what is it? The TARDIS translation matrix?
Something like that.
Isn't that what they said, where it translates language? My question on that is, why is Ruby running around going, okay?
It doesn't translate slang, I imagine.
No, it shouldn't. They need to fix that. It's an upgrade they need to download.
Well, and that became a plot point, So
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so they know Strictly Come Dancing, sort of Dancing with the Stars moves, and even translate the title of the show for you guys. And then Indira Varma, the Duchess, turns up, and we talked about this last week. But Indira Varma is a Torchwood alumnus.
Game of Thrones too.
Game of Thrones. She was Hilarious and.
Yeah, one of the mother of the Sand Sisters.
But yeah, she's been in Torchwood before in a couple of episodes. She's now back as a brand new character, hoping. So Russell T Davies is like, nah, no one will remember Susie Costello. That's fine. In such a Torchwoody sort of episode as well. This is so silly to put her in with the new Jack Harkness. So the Duchess comes up to the Doctor and Ruby, loves them because they're new and not fancy, but also fancy at the same time. And then she takes Ruby away from the Doctor, and that's almost the last interaction that Ruby and Doctor have all episode. When she's going away, she gets interference on her psychic link earrings, like there's another time traveler around. And the Doctor pulls out his sonic screwdriver. Such a stupid sonic screwdriver. I still do not like
remote.
that.
All I can see is the flick remote from the Adam Sandler movie.
Exactly.
It's not great. Yeah, the sonic screwdriver needs help. Needs to blow up in an episode where he has to rebuild it better, stronger, more like the old ones.
More stick-like, not round.
It's an MP3 player
pilot.
now.
Yeah, there's like things that come out of it, and you can look through it. Yeah, it's strange. Here, so right away, like the tone of this episode is like, I think even Ruby name drops Bridgerton. I'm not sure if it's this early or
definitely does.
She does.
Which is kind of funny. So it's like, like putting a pin on the idea. And it's so much like Bridgerton to the point where they're even using like right away you notice they're singing, like they're playing pop culture music and like old timey orchestra.
Yeah, they're actually they're
Eilish.
using the same tracks that they use in Bridgerton's.
Right.
So that that bad guy version is also used in Bridgerton.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. And then there's a one later on too. I think I forget which one. it was that they
I
were
clocked
playing.
one later on. I didn't notice the Billie Eilish one. I only clocked Poker Face later on.
Yeah. Yeah. Poker Face. Yeah. And
This
yeah, the Billie Eilish, because it was playing like bad guy, I think from Billie,
Mhm.
while it was showing the bad guy,
Good vantage point, keeping an eye out on the exits, like you're expecting trouble.
which, we think is the bad guy, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
It was sort of like an interesting thing, right? I think this is the first season of Doctor Who that feels inherently self-aware, right? Like of its audience in a way, right? Like it all season, it feels like Davis is just toying with us, right, as an audience. And this episode completely just is like poking you, be like, hey, we know you, I know that you know that we know that we're doing Bridgerton. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna point, I'm gonna make all the call outs. Like it's very poignant, right? It's very like in your face, which is strange. Like it's a very strange thing, but I'm also kind of digging it because it feels very modern.
This episode is written by Kate Herron and somebody else from, I think it was this sex education writers. So it wasn't Russell T Davies on this
Oh,
one.
really? Okay.
But Kate Herron herself did direct the first season of Loki. So there's your Disney influence.
Oh, interesting.
Well, then I haven't seen Sex Education, but wasn't Ncuti in that?
Ncuti Gatwa
Yeah.
was one of the starring
Okay.
roles in that, yes.
The stupid sonic screwdriver finds the time traveler, and he's on a balcony, and it's Jonathan Groff, who I know from Mindhunter. Other people might know from other things.
You might know him from Hamilton. He plays King George III.
He's the voice of the bad guy in Frozen.
Hans.
The
Hans,
prince,
yeah, Prince Hans. We watch a lot of Frozen in this household because
Oh, yeah, of course.
So
Yeah,
my
you have
3-year-old.
child.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because of your
that
son.
happens.
That definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me clarify why.
Yeah. But he's also he's from another Broadway show. He was in Spring Awakening as well. He's in the original cast of that,
Yeah.
and he was on Glee with several members from Spring Awakening. He's towards the end.
Yeah, I didn't watch
Plays
it.
a teacher.
The Doctor meets the new time traveler guy, Jonathan Groff, and there's a little bit of the Doctor finds a little bit of a spark within him straight away, almost. He's chatting the guy up, 100% chatting him up from the get-go. They talk a little bit. They find out the guy's name is Rogue, like out of the X-Men.
Not that Rogue.
Not that Rogue. Just a guy called Rogue.
Yeah.
And they have a little bit of bants, and then they go walking outside.
We had Rey Skywalker. Now we've got Han Solo. It keeps going. The Star Wars keeps going.
Yeah.
Why is he Han Solo?
He's the
Handsome.
Rogue.
He's got a V-neck and he's got a gun.
Yeah.
Han Solo wasn't a bounty hunter.
He was a
But he was
smuggler.
a smuggler.
Yeah.
He had a ship that looks a lot like Rogue's ship.
Yeah, he a Rogue type character.
Yeah.
Right?
Rogue
Like,
character.
yeah. It's thin, but I see where you're going.
Yeah.
I like it.
Ruby's on a little side project of getting like Bridgerton style. Oh, there's gossip here. Drama. Gossip. Not a lot to be talked about, but Ruby's on the other side of the ballroom. Meanwhile, the Duchess dies to a housekeeper in a remarkably similar way to the cad died just earlier. But this time we see a weird bird face coming from the housekeeper as she kills the Duchess. And then the Duchess was the housekeeper and now is the Duchess again.
Have we seen this race before? Have we seen the Chalder before? Is this new?
No, but there is a race that has the exact same deal from the episode Family of Blood in Davies' third season. They were aliens who took humans' form and killed the originals and masqueraded as humans. Almost the exact same.
Were they into pop culture?
No, they were just kind of dicks.
Mm. So not the same. Different.
No.
No.
They had this like daughter of mine, father of mine
Father
sort of
mine,
deal.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
okay.
at the private school while the doctor didn't know that he was the doctor.
So just before that, when the Duchess was still the Duchess, and the Ruby finds a portrait.
Of
You
Susan
guessed it.
Twist.
It's an old lady. Who's the old lady? It's Susan Twist. Susan Twist is around again. Not in person this time, just on a picture. Not a lot to say. It's just another appearance. Ruby recognizes her. The teaser for next week seems to suggest that we're going to get some answers next week, which I'm happy about because I'm sick of that old woman. Because just because it's like a mystery that wasn't going anywhere and now is going somewhere. So I'm happy.
What about the Mrs. Flood twist, though?
There's another old woman. She'll just replace it, the old woman mystery next time. That's fine. Well, let's get rid of one of the old women mysteries.
I appreciate the thought process of like, okay, we're going to introduce this thing and it's going to follow them throughout every episode, but it's not it's like the bad wolf thing, kind of all over again, right? Like there's like little instances, but there's so it connects the arc, right? There's a continuation of like something's progressing, so you want to watch every episode so you get all the little nuggets, but it doesn't feel like you could still watch each episode standalone like good old Doctor Who should, right? Like, so I'm into that, and I appreciate the thought put into here to kind of like know that where and subtle ways they can add her in, and I always kind of get I don't know, I like it. That's why I like Doctor Who. I like these kind of things.
I'm anxious to see how they're going to tie up the Susan Twist thing. I do kind of like that they're kind of nudging people so that they're not missing it, because I feel like we saw the Bad Wolf stuff kind of fly by for how many seasons was that?
Yeah.
And it just kept happening and it was never
Yeah.
called out. Like we didn't know what the heck it was about. And now they're kind of being faster about, hey, let's make sure they're paying attention.
Side content, Ruby's doing some peeking on drama that's unfolding between the cad and what seems to be a sweet little young girl who wants to marry the cad. And she interrupts him because she's clumsy. Not as clumsy as Pepper Bean last week, but she's clumsy. She knocks some books over, starts inserting herself into the drama. And that's a setup for where we'll go to later. The Doctor and Rogue. It's such a silly name to say as part of this recap. Doctor and Rogue. That sounds like a buddy cop movie. The Doctor and Rogue go outside and find the Duchess's shriveled old body like it's a mummy from The Mummy. Rogue isn't surprised, and the Doctor is not surprised that Rogue isn't surprised, but he is very surprised when Rogue pulls a gun on him.
It's a little hinky.
The Rogue's taken the Doctor prisoner now because there's some confusion about who's actually a shape-shifting alien. The Rogue thinks it's the Doctor. The Doctor sort of thinks it's Rogue. And no one's doing a really good job of convincing the other one that they're not the alien.
Yeah, but this is like the Doctor's thing, right? He sort of plays a bit not dumb, but like he sort of like his job is like, I want to be captured because I'm going to find out more. You're more likely to give me all the information I need because you don't feel threatened by me, right? Like you don't, so he's sort of playing the dumb, like, oh, and he's kind of doing a little flirting while he's doing it, right? So he's working his charm, and it's kind of working, right? But it's not, but it's kind of, I don't know. I like the banter here. I thought it was well written. I like the whole like I'm walking to my ship. Oh, that's my ship. Oh, he's like, the shed. You didn't even hide it. He's like, well, it's behind a tree. It made me chuckle, right? Like I thought this is pretty witty, pretty well written banter, and it made me believe that there's chemistry here, right? Like it's well written enough to make me think like these guys have something going. Like there's some sparks, which is cool.
Rogue's ship is pretty cool looking.
Yeah,
looks like a bird of prey.
Like a bird.
Looks like a bird of prey.
It did. It
looked
looked
like
like
I was watching it.
Yeah, I was like, that's like it feel like a Star Trek reference here. Yeah,
right. He's
cool.
a Romulan. Jeez, run.
Yeah,
there's a D&D reference in the middle of all of this.
There is. So the Doctor goes in and gets trapped by Rogue and in what is called a triform, which is basically just a prison, and which turns into an incinerator if someone presses a button. And whilst he's in the incinerator, he starts learning more about Rogue. Rogue is a fucking nerd. just like all of us. He's a fucking nerd.
A filthy
Rock
nerd
hard.
who needs a companion in order to clean his ship up.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah.
He uses the phrase "roll for initiative" unironically, which I don't know if anybody of us would say that to indicate to a fellow nerd that we know them.
I don't know.
But maybe.
Ask Erica. Erica would definitely say that, I would say.
I feel like, yeah, if you're really into it, yeah, I feel like that's a thing. It's like they know their audience a lot more. It's like there's some data analysts at BBC or Disney that are like, listen, if you make a D&D reference, 99.9% of your audience will love it, right? Like it feels very calculated in a way, right? Where Doctor Who never quite leaned into the sort of like today of things, like the fact that they're name dropping Bridgerton and name dropping role playing, or right, or it just feels so,
and all that.
yeah, it just feels so of today, where Doctor Who never quite, I guess, dated itself so specifically to a period, like whether it was filmed in the 60s or filmed in the early aughts, 2000s, right? Like you know it by the look of it, like filmically, right? Like that was shot in 16:9 and this is or 4:3, and now now it's in 4K and it looks great, right? Like cinematically you can tell when era it's shot in, but and how it's acted or portrayed, but like the dialogue never quite felt so of today than it does now. Whittaker's did, right? Like Whittaker's the Jodie Whittaker's Doctor was written in some instances that felt very today, like the dialogue felt very today. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right, yeah. But Peter could have been like from
Anywhere.
any time.
I like it, but if it starts to go like this episode felt really lean in, and not every episode has done that, and I guess I'm okay with as long as it's sprinkled in every now and then, but it doesn't become like a main part of how the show's written overall. That was a flaw of Whittaker's era, where it felt like it was like the dialogue felt so of today. Like it felt like it was written like if you were writing like a bad Transformers movie all the time, like if like you had Shia LaBeouf always reading the dialogue, you know what I'm saying? Like it was written like he has to be one with us, right? Like, oh, I'm hip, I'm cool, right? Like,
how
no,
dare you slander the LaBeouf?
Hey, we grew up with the real Transformers. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
animated.
Yeah. I only love him when he's swinging from vines in Indiana Jones. Not really. I guess my point is I thought it was fun in this episode. I hope it doesn't become something that they lean in on all the time, right? Like because again, I kind of, and maybe that's just me as a producer that's sort of like seeing behind the scenes of like there's some, like I said, like the data says like mention D&D. Like, I don't know, kind of shit.
The Doctor starts messing with Rogue by putting Kylie on the radio. La 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 in a tuneful voice, which is interesting to me because Kylie then becomes a part of the Doctor Who universe and also starred in the Doctor Who universe because she was the companion on the Titanic too.
Yep, Astrid Peth.
Yep,
forgot about that. I love that episode too. That's great. I forgot about that.
So we've got that situation. She's a singer and a companion. Yeah, maybe it's one of those Ocean's 13 Julie Roberts pretending to be Julia Roberts, pretending not to be Julia Roberts. So the Doctor says that he's not a shapeshifter. He's not a Cholder. He's not a Cholder, and because the Cholder, you need to scan him because he's not a Cholder. The ship's AI scans him, determines that he's a shapeshifter, which is true. It's true. He is a shapeshifter. He sort of turns into different people. That's who he is. But he's not a Cholder because he can go. He did explain, I think, Rogue, that Cholders can only do it 5 times or something, and the Doctor has done it many, many more times. Which it was apparent when the holograms of his old faces turn up.
The Fugitive Doctor was also in there, which was interesting because it confirms that wasn't fake.
There's someone else in there as well.
Richard Grant.
Richard Richard E.
The
Grant.
Great Intelligence.
Mm,
Oh, really? I didn't catch that.
yeah.
Yeah, he's the third or fourth face that pops up.
He also voiced the Doctor in an animated cartoon. So it might be alluding to that. It doesn't make sense because everyone says which number Doctor they are, and he would. And when we got to the end of Matt Smith's storyline, he knew how many faces he's already taken. So it doesn't, or how many he thought he'd already taken anyway, because that's been retconned. But if it's in the middle of that loop, then he would know that he'd taken an extra face, and that wouldn't mean that he wasn't the last incarnation. He already knew that he could reincarnate again. So that didn't make sense to me anyway.
In the fourth Doctor episode, Metamorphosis, there is a part where it shows him having forms before he actually knew about them. Like, it doesn't explicitly show what they look like in that, but it does look like he had others, and they teased that way back then in the fourth Doctor era. So there is precedence for that.
Yeah, because even the original Doctor talked about how he took in forms before, but we don't know how many ever, right? Like, there could be a prequel even before Baker, or not Baker,
Hartnell.
Yeah, Hartnell. Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. It always seems to be funny to me because even when they do the anniversary and stuff, and they show the faces of all of them, and you're like, oh yeah, and there's always seems to be a new one that shows up. Oh, now it's the War Doctor. You're like, yes.
Yeah, it's always been part of the mystery. Yeah.
So the Doctor's convinced Rogue finally. He gets let out of the Triform, and they go to his ship. I've been to your place. You come see mine. Doctor sings. It's musical time with Doctor Who again. Come with me and you'll see.
He's even wearing the coloured coat. It was funny.
I think he just always wanted to be Dr. Willy Wonka and Doctor Who, Ncuti Gatwa. So
you're probably not wrong. One really quick thing, I thought it was interesting when he did show the face of Doctor. It starts out with Tennant's Doctor, and it holds on that one for a while, and it seems like Rogue recognizes Tennant, and he lifts his finger off the trigger. And I'm wondering if there's going to be if there was a connection there, he's seen Tennant before as the Doctor or something, it seemed interesting that they started with Tennant, right? Versus,
the entire order was mixed
up.
I guess maybe not, because Tennant technically was the last face he owned too. So
maybe he's the new boss. Because he made a reference to the boss, he's a bounty hunter, so obviously he's got a boss. Maybe Tennant's Doctor, the one that stayed with Tate, got bored and become a boss of bounty hunters. That would be against Doctor Who character, but
I'm still waiting for the Meeps mysterious boss to show up too.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if there isn't a connection somewhere between, and I know that's grasping at straws, but I kind of wonder if there isn't a connection somewhere between this guy and Jack, Captain Jack, just because of the similarities in what they do, what they're like, the kind of attitudes they have, and the fact that they like to make jokes about building shelves. Because Jack Harkness said the same thing to the Doctor the first time we meet him, is that he wants the Doctor to use his screwdriver to install some shelves.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't pick that up.
Right, we've spent enough time with Doctor and Rogue right now. They did almost kiss in the TARDIS, but then Doctor realizes that he's probably better go and check on Ruby, who he's left in the mansion alone with a bunch of aliens. Luckily, Ruby and Emily, who is the young girl that was doing all the drama with the CAD, have also found the body of the housekeeper, and they sort of meet halfway. Ruby, Emily, and the Doctor and Rogue, they sort of explain what the Cholder are. They're Comic-Con fanboys. They just want to play role play and cosplay with people, and the better the character, the better the cosplay. So these guys just want the most drama and all that jazz. The Doctor and Rogue come up with this lovely idea to make more drama, and they go in and start to dance with each other. Oh, what a to do! a homosexual couple in the 1813. Oh, this is going to cause a stir at the garden parties.
Yeah, I have something to say about this that I'm not sure if it's gonna be anything, but 1813 and the doctor's skin color isn't exactly white. Shouldn't there already be a scandal?
Go ahead, Charlotte. I think you.
Well,
know
I mean,
this.
if you look around the room, they very much set this up like Bridgerton.
Yeah.
There are multiple races in that room that would have never been in the same room at that time. So we have to take his race and kind of chuck it out the window because they're not applying it to anybody else in the room.
Is this the Bridgerton universe?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
It
kind
appears
of,
to be.
Yes,
Yeah.
it appears to be because there's a black queen in Bridgerton, and the race isn't quite a thing anymore, right? In Bridgerton, but homosexuality still is, right? Like that's still
okay.
Like
Yeah.
That's
where we
a
draw the
scandal.
line.
That's
Yeah.
Race is
scandal.
not a scandal.
Right.
It was last week. Race is not a scandal this week. It's homosexuality this week.
It's 1813. This
Yeah,
is
I
the
know.
human world, not Bridgerton.
Ben, we're living in a world where the Duchess is like
The
from
bird.
a bird, and also of like Asian descent, like
Right,
South
yeah.
Asian descent.
What are the rules?
There are no rules. This is Bridgerton. Except homosexual bad in Bridgerton, race fine.
I'm so confused.
I feel you, mate. Like I'm right there with you. Where it's sort of like at what point, yeah, or like it's almost like it almost would have been funnier if they like transported and they realized like, oh my god, we're actually on the set of Bridgerton, like on not or like in the show, like proper, like we're in like a TV show, not an actual real world event or something.
Later on, they mentioned there are actual humans there who are participating in what I assume to be regular old aristocracy kerfuffles.
Yeah, but in Bridgerton universe, just handle it, Ben.
Bridgerton!
It's just them are just the rules. Just handle it.
Now think about that. That does not make sense. Damn it.
What?
He's using the Chewbacca defense.
Like they're only worried about one social construct at a time.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
right now, it's
yeah.
just sexuality.
We can only beat you over the head with one socially aware moment, right? Like we can't have gay and racism. Like that would just people's minds would explode.
Too much. No.
It's too much. Yeah.
At the end of the dance, Rogue proposes to the Doctor. The Doctor's already married, and I mean he's a widow, I guess, at this point. But
she's an NFT right now. It's fine. River Song. She's an NFT. He uploaded it to the
God,
Matrix.
that's terrible. She's uploaded in the freaking hard. River Song has been saved. Oh God, that's amazing, Ben. I love it.
So he's technically still married then, even though it's to like some sort of Matrix NFT. So he storms out, and the Cholders, who the Duchess and the Cad that we know about, follow them. But there's two more that follow them as well, and then it's Scooby-Doo time, chase all around the building, and they don't find them because they're villains from Scooby-Doo. That they take off their masks and reveal themselves, and then can't chase after people.
Really bad.
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them. One has reveals themselves to Ruby in the library, and we think that Ruby's a goner. Oh, poor Ruby, she's almost dead.
Again.
This is what happens. Like Ruby's just left on her own for most of this episode, and who cares about Ruby at this point? That's what
it's the time paradox attractor field. She's not supposed to exist, so the universe tries to kill her. Maybe. Multiple times.
There you go. I like this theory.
I like that.
So then it's wedding time, because every good Bridgerton season ends on a wedding, apparently.
Pretty much,
yeah.
So, and where the scandal. So they turn a vicar into a Cholder. They take their appearance so that they can have their wedding. And they're about to have a wedding, one with Ruby, who everyone thinks is a Shoulder. And the Doctor comes in. I object.
One moment where we get to see the David Tennant Doctor from Family of Blood again, where he goes flipping psycho. Because at the moment where he thinks Ruby's dead, and he looks down and he's just like, I'm going to make them suffer. It's like, whoa, where did this come from?
Yeah.
It was but it was weird because I expected like them to turn the corner and him to see a body, but he never, like, it never reveals that. He just assumes.
No.
Which was the moment where I was sort of like, okay, there's a head fake here. I thought it was interesting they didn't show it, but I do like how he did turn, and he's like, how long do the children live for? And what did he say, like 800 years or something, like 400 years or something, like a really long time. He's like, good, they'll suffer.
Good. It's a long time to suffer.
Because he changed, because like I guess we skipped over it, but he ended up changing the, what is it, the Triforce, the Triforg, the
Triform. They
Triform.
changed it to
Triform.
contain 6 people
And banish
Like-
them.
and banish them
Banish
to
them.
like a reality that is barren or
Barren.
barren.
Yeah, which is
With no
kind
way
of
back.
like, yeah, he did the same thing in Family of Blood. Tennant's Doctor like sealed them all in like time frozen prisons that he said they'll rest in forever,
Yeah.
which is whoa.
Yeah,
Some callbacks in this one, isn't there?
yeah.
There's a lot.
The Phantom Zone.
Phantom Zone. Jesus.
Flip around out in space in a big triangle forever.
That'll show
It
you.
is a triangle.
It is a
yeah.
triangle.
I know. That's what I was like. It's like
Exactly.
very
Phantom
Phantom
Zone. The Doctor puts them in the new Triform, which holds 6 people. There's only 5?
Yeah.
Maybe 5. They trap him in the Triform, and there's some people who in there. All of the Cholder that we know, and Ruby, who reveals herself to not be a Cholder, just actually quite a good actress, making
She
them
says,
think.
cosplaying. She doesn't think,
Yeah.
oops, I'm a silly Billy. Look at me getting myself in danger again. Oops.
Right. And at this point, I'm just thinking if she survives this, he needs to take her to see a chiropractor. Because what the hell? Well, how did she get her neck to crack like that?
Yeah.
Some good cosplay.
Yeah.
Those earrings
No
are pretty good.
Really?
The earrings, as it was revealed, turned into battle mode and had her knock out the Cholder out from nowhere, but with dancing. It was like Karen Gillan from Jumanji. She was
Dance fighting.
dance fighting expert. Ruby's now stuck. Doctor's crying. I think it's the second or third time this episode that he started to cry, but he's crying because he's going to lose his best mate. His best mate, who he's probably out of the 6 episodes that we've been in, he's been together with her, but for about half an hour in all of those 6 episodes. But he's the best mate.
Yeah, he calls her his best friend.
Yep.
Do you guys run DNA tests on your best friends, guys?
Yeah, that's a good point.
No,
Actually, I
no.
mean, you know, when you grow up where I grew up, it's yeah,
Make sure they're not your brother.
exactly. I'm talking about the Kentucky backwoods, you know. Mhm.
Both my parents are from Eastern Kentucky. I got you there. I feel
Yeah,
ya.
yeah. So I feel, yeah, we're all. Are you a cousin? Like a third
Might
cousin's
be.
okay, but a second cousin, that's a little
Yeah.
bit. No, anyway. Here's the deal. Like I kind of don't mind. They always imply that they're off doing adventures even in between episodes. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's who knows how long they've been running about, right? Time travel's weird, right? So I don't mind. Like, yeah, they have a bond. It's cool. And you know, he feels close, and he has like there's like a moment of flashbacks where he kind of like remembers that he promised her mom that and this is, we've seen this before, right? Like as fans, we all know it's very hard to keep that promise. Most companions don't
Don't
most
make it.
companions don't make it, right? Or at least don't come out the same in the same fashion that they started. So yeah,
Donna
it's-
did.
Sort of didn't.
sort of, yeah.
For about 15 years.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought this was pretty powerful. I thought this was a nice moment, and I always love when the Doctor's put in a position of like choose.
But he can't choose. He can't choose to get rid of Ruby. He can't do what is necessary. And Rogue knows this, and it makes him like the Doctor even more. Let's say love the Doctor at this point, because Rogue plants a big fat one on his lips. I mean, the Doctor's been wanting it for the whole episode, so it's like a mutual thing.
Jack Harkness and River Song both crying their eyes out in the background.
No kidding.
And like, for me, the Doctor has always been pansexual anyway. He's everything and everything. He goes. He's definitely trans because he goes through sex changes multiple times, and like whoever he likes, he just likes because they're good people slash things. So none of this actually surprised me. And after last week's Ricky's really hot type stuff, we all knew that this sort of thing was coming. What I didn't expect was, like I said earlier on, how flirty and forward this version of the Doctor is.
This Doctor just feels jovial, feels full of life, feels very like let's experience it all, which is kind of interesting and in a way. And I think this episode showed a little bit almost too cavalier, because here he is kind of like on this flirtatious run with this rogue, while Ruby's kind of like trying to like fending off monsters on her own. And like in early Doctor, we would like the reason they get separated is because something separates them, and they're always trying to get back together. He's like, I got to get back to Ruby, like got to get back to Rose, or I got to get back to Clara, right? Like it's always seems like I got to go save her. Here he's like, you're having a good time, even though he knows there's something bad out there, which is interesting. So he feels a little bit more cavalier in the sense, which is kind of interesting, I guess. I don't know how to put it. And one more thing I want to point out, and the one flaw I thought of this episode is when the rogue here is talking to the Doctor and saying like if you let them go, the Chalder will kill Ruby, then you kill the rest of humanity, and like and I'm like, how are these like 5 bird things gonna kill human? Like they were running around like chasing you and the Doctor like idiots in the garden for like 10 minutes, and they're gonna kill humanity. Like I guess I was sort of like the leap there. I was like, yeah, let them go, and then like trap them with something else in a day later. I don't know.
Earlier on, they were mouthing off, going, "Oh, we're gonna take over being royalty and make everyone go to war, and there'll be great laughs."
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I was sort of like, this seemed like they kind of felt like not quite as threatening as like some of the other Doctor's villains.
Well,
in a sense of like, I mean, you could maybe turn that thing off and still probably save the day. It didn't feel like a no-win scenario kind of vibe. But
yeah, their great villainous line was, "We're gonna cosplay the Earth to death." Like, somebody really has something against San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's great.
Rogue puts the last shoulder in there, and then also don't understand how this worked, but he sort of shoulder charges Ruby out of the Triform, even though it was impossible to get out, and then puts himself in the Triform in her stead. Don't quite get how that worked, but let's move forward. It's sci-fi, and the rules out the window.
Is it because the max was 6, and when he put the other Chalder in there, right? And then when he went in there, like it allowed like someone else to leave because there was a weight limit or threshold or something. I don't know. I was trying to understand that too. That seemed a little like, if you could just gut check somebody, like like knock them out of there. Like, let's just do that all day. I'll throw a chair at somebody to get them out of there. Here, take this couch. I saved you. Just start throwing random shit at people and
Heads up!
Like, here, grab this rope and I'll yank you out, right? Like, I mean, come on.
And then with the last words, Rogue says, "Find me," and then Gandalf's down, like Fly You Fool style.
He's the one who waits. Oh my god! No way! No.
Whoa!
Holy shit!
No, fuck that.
Super villain. Over 600 years later, he waited and hated the Doctor.
You never came for me. I gave you a smooch and you abandoned me.
Yes. Theory number 48.
So he's going to turn into Amy.
Oh yeah, the old Amy. And then Rory's just being like, "I love both of you. Can I just have both of you?" And it's like, "Rory, please."
He's like, "No, quit.
Come on, please, guys. No." Like this guy had known the Doctor for at the most, like an hour and a half. Maybe, and he becomes a super villain because he gets trapped in there because of after one smoochie, the guy never comes to
Ian.
He's just
This
a bit
is-
clingy then, isn't he? He
Ian.
just
seemed pretty lonely with all them
Ian.
dice on the table.
Yeah.
You can only roll dice to yourself so many times before you go psycho.
This is a Disney production. You can fall in love with an hour with anybody.
He showed the doctor the TARDIS. That's basically like first date status, right there.
That's true.
Like that's like going to, he basically got to second base.
And the episode ends with the Doctor and Ruby talking about how the TARDIS can't find the Rogue wherever because he could be in any sort of dimension or anywhere. If Rogue was like smart, he would have put a tracking device in himself that the TARDIS could like track, but let's improve past that. And then Ruby hugs the Doctor after the Doctor tries to wave it away, like, yeah, it happens, but it's actually got to him.
He puts a little ring on the finger.
He does.
A little rogue ring.
The proposal ring he puts on his finger, his little finger.
I think that's not the last we've seen of Jonathan Groff and the Rogue.
I want his real name though, because I can't keep calling him Rogue. All I can hear
his
is
real name is Jack Harkness. I mean,
yeah, probably is.
Do you know what would be absolutely hilarious if, like, in one of the crossovers, he meets Whittaker's Doctor and he just has no interest at all?
Yeah.
He's like, "What's his problem? What's wrong with him?"
In one of the crossovers, you just hear and then he'll turn up and then just walk straight back off screen. So that's the spoiler section done. Let's go on to our episode rankings and overall thoughts.
Well, this didn't make me as angry as Space Babies did, and it wasn't as weird as 63-yard thingy.
73, but carry on.
Yeah, that. So, honestly, I think this was just an episode that I think I could just let pass by and be an episode and be all right. So I'm gonna give this one a 6.
So slightly higher than Space Babies, higher than 73 yards.
Yeah, I think it was just an episode. It didn't make me angry, so it's okay.
Didn't make me angry. Well, that's a low bar or a high bar, I guess, nowadays.
I think I'm going to give this one probably about an 8. The Jane Austen, Bridgerton kind of things got me hooked. I'm interested in seeing where the Rogue thing goes if he comes back. I'm so glad that this was not a full musical episode because I was scared to death that it was going to be when I saw that Jonathan Groff was going to be in it. Don't get me wrong, love Jonathan Groff's voice, love his performances on stage, but I don't need it in my Doctor Who. Yeah. Ruby irritated the crap out of me in this episode, so I wouldn't have been too angry if she'd have gone through that thing. But overall, I thought it was quite enjoyable.
I really liked this episode. Like I said in the beginning, I thought this was a lot of fun. I laughed and chuckled a lot of times in this show, in this episode. Like this felt like just a good old time. And I think I've talked about my qualms. Even though I'm chuckling at the pop culture references, like him dancing to Kylie Minogue and the talking about role playing and mentioning Bridgerton, like if they start doing this every episode, I'm gonna get annoyed. But like I think this episode was just self-aware just enough for me to have fun, and it was just self-contained enough as like a one-off where I can kind of like kind of almost like you, Ben, like I can separate it away from like the rest of the season in a way and kind of combine it in this little bubble where I can just have a good time. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna give this an 8.5. I had a lot of good time with it. I don't know. I'm excited to see how they're gonna wrap up the season in 2 more episodes next week. I think it had a lot of things, and I think it showed a lot of emotion of the Doctor, which I'm really enjoying. I'm really enjoying this Doctor. I'm really enjoying Ncuti, and I'm really liking Millie. The more I like Millie Gibson, the more I see her on screen, the more I'm liking her too. So I'm kind of all in. I'm really liking this season overall.
So Charlotte and Ben, were really annoyed with Ruby in this episode.
Yeah, I'd like to just add in that Ruby has gotten far too insufferable recently. and I'm enjoying watching her die over and over again. Actually, it's really satisfying.
How so? Like, just walk me through what's the insufferableness of
Ruby seems to think that she's like the absolute best thing going, and pops out pop culture references all over the place. Like she knows everything about what's going on, but really all she does is just wander about places and get absolutely destroyed by her environment. And there's not really any consequences for her actions. She just gets to run around, something bad happens to her, then she gets saved by Deus Ex Machinas. It's like the character should have been shot in Boom and died right there, and that was the end of it. But she keeps getting saved time and time again, and she doesn't learn a lesson at all.
I think my big issue with her, especially in this episode, and it's not Millie, and it's not necessarily the character. It's the things that the character is written to do and say. Nobody who's time traveling is going to go to 1813 and speak like they would in 2024. If they had any sort of sense of self-preservation, you just wouldn't do it.
I mean, it's hard to get out of like speech habits though at the same time. So I sort of get it. I'm a filthy northerner, and I talk like this. It's quite hard to not talk like this in it.
Well, I mean, there is a difference. You have your regional dialects and things like that, but I have a feeling that you would make an effort if you went to an extremely different kind of time to try to monitor what you say. Like you would not be calling people bruv.
Bruv, brother, bruv, brother.
I don't think you'd walk up to a duchess and like, talk like you would talk to one of your mates. It's just
true.
Yeah.
How Dutchy hang any peasants lately?
I hear you on the consequences bit though, mate. Like does seem like she's been put in enough situations where she could die and she doesn't seem to kind of she would have you'd think she would have a little bit more cautiousness towards the situation.
Yeah.
Again, I keep going back to Donna Noble. She was like sort of like to me the quintessential Doctor Who companion where like anytime anything bad happened, she's like, let's get the fuck out of here. Like she'd say what everyone in the audience is thinking, like, we don't like, let's just get in the TARDIS and go. Like like
Right.
not just running around, let's solve the mystery Clara style, like I'm invincible. So Millie's kind of in the middle there for me. She's sort of like
I don't have a problem with using that sort of language because Donna Noble would have used that sort of language. Like fucking worse. Donna Noble, like Karen Gill and Amy Pond is Scottish, and she's always Scottish. She says Scottish things.
Donna Noble would have put the dress on and been all happy, trying to act it up like an aristocrat for a few minutes, having a laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it almost feels like that they're like punching the gas on getting her to the point where Clara was at the end of Clara's run, where she's hanging out of the TARDIS flying across London. Like she's kind of got that mentality of nothing's going to touch me. I'm with him.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe there's a consequence because after today, she obviously saw like the consequence, and she was ready to kind of like she said it's like she was kind of giving the doctor the nod of like it's okay, you can do it. Like she understood that she fucked up, right? Like in a way, right? Like she took it too far, I guess. I don't know. So maybe there will be in the next episode, the next couple episodes. I don't know. We'll see. Because I hear you. There is a weirdness where like she's been put in a lot of situations where you think there'd be more self-awareness on her part of understanding like what life traveling with the doctor is like and or make better decisions.
It scared the shit out of Martha to the point she left.
Your stuff is too dangerous for me, pal. I'm going back to being a doctor. See ya.
Then she goes on another TV show. Torchwood, yay!
The last thing I'm going to say about Millie here is that she is very close to having some sort of damsel in distress syndrome here, where she can't. She's just the Daphne. I'm going back to Scooby-Doo. She's just the Daphne where she's in trouble all the time and the doctor has to save her. We'll see how it goes. There's a couple of episodes left of this season, and I feel like her character is going to get a lot of development in those two episodes. I still have no idea where to score this episode. I'm probably going to take a a punt at a 7.5, the same as last week. It is a standalone episode. It's good content. Like there's a decent monster of the week. The Doctor and Ruby are back in physical form in an episode, guys, for the first time in 3 episodes. I'm still getting used to the Doctor. Maybe when I come back to this, once I'm used to the Doctor in season 2, I'll score it a bit more because I'll know what he's like. It's just like a bit of a like most of the other Doctor's incarnations have been fairly asexual. Like they don't give a shit about romance. This one does. He's very in touch with all of his emotions. He cries every episode. I have said it every time. He's flirty and he wants love at this point, apparently. And it's going to take me a little bit of time to get used to it, but I've seen nothing. I can't mark it down for anything it does really in that sort of area because that's just his new character. It's just going to take me a little time.
Do you guys have any thoughts on like 2 episodes left? We saw a little glimmer of where it seems what we're going to get with
Twisty.
Twisty, yeah. And I don't know. I mean, do you think based on what we've sort of seen in this Doctor and this Ruby, do you think this is going to end in satisfying, or do you guys kind of feel like we're probably not going to be that we're not going to get all the answers, or it's probably going to be
I think
cliffhanger central?
I think it's going to be a lead into the second season. I think it's going to be like a multi-season story with 3 different parts, and I think it's going to go through all of them. And I think that the Legend of Ruby Sunday should probably hopefully set up Ruby as like the antagonist of the entire series for the next few seasons.
Oh, really?
If I'm right, yeah, that's what I believe. I believe that Ruby's going to be some sort of malevolent force that's hiding within her that comes out and is like, "Hey, I'm evil now. Prepare yourself, Doctor."
I think they have a whole lot of balls at play, and they didn't. The way that it's lining up with only so few episodes left, I don't think they've left enough time to finish everything up and get us all the answers in those couple episodes. So I'm with Ben. It's going to spread over, or some things are just going to get dropped and become part of that mysterious lore that people go and pick at and go, well, what's that?
My out there tinfoil hat theory is that Russell T Davies is going to steal from another show and make Ruby an impossibility in time, and that's why she's just wrong. And it's going to turn out that she's her own mother, and they stole that from the Red Dwarf show, like
Dave
Infinity.
Lister, yeah,
the
Ouroboros,
yeah.
Ouroboros.
And because she's an impossibility, she'll neither be good nor evil, just someone who may fuck things up or may help the Doctor in time over the next season.
I don't know how you could be your own mother, but that's interesting. Yeah.
I also don't know that, but they did that in Red Dwarf, and so I'm sticking with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, things were weird in the 70s. Wasn't the Red
70s? Are you kidding me? Wait,
90s? 90s? Really? Red Dwarf was 90s?
Yeah.
They're still making new episodes now.
Shut up.
On Dave. Yeah, they're like old, like 50 and still making episodes.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's coming back. It won't be good, but it's coming back.
Oh, well, at least we know that.
Yeah, 90s it was.
So you think Susan Twist is her in the future, like old?
No. I don't know what Susan Twist is at the moment, but I feel like that.
If Mrs. Flood is her just living next to her mum in the past, I'm going to cry laughing.
Twist.
It's too obvious. We're being forced to focus on something we're not meant to, because something else is there that we're supposed to focus on, but we haven't. I'm sure.
A byproduct of the anomaly, let's say.
Yeah.
For now, that's how it's going to tie up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any good theories. I'm coming in hopeful that it's going to be interesting, but tempered expectations that it's probably going to be something kind of lame. It's really hard to land mysteries like this, right? because of this, right? Because we can theorize really interesting things and
Yeah.
come up with things that actually are probably maybe even more interesting in a way, but and narratively they're hard to execute, right? Like, so, but we don't think that way, like when we're thinking about narrative. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see how it lands.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us here on the Doctor Who Watching Now podcast on Couch Soup. If you like this, then please like and subscribe and do all those fun stuff, like rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That would be good. 5 stars though, please, not 1, 5. Or you could become a member of couchsoup.com, which will help support independent creators like us. Coming soon on Watching Now, in just 2 weeks' time, we have Decoding Dragons back. The House of the Dragon companion series is coming back with Liz and Michelle, and boy, are they excited and really mad at me for choosing Team Green. Go Team Green! Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next week for another episode of Doctor Who Watching Now. Salutations!
Bye-bye.
Bye.
No, carry on. I'm telling you to move on. Tell me to shut the fuck up and
I
keep going.
tried. I fucking tried, Drew.
Oh God.
Is this getting in the episode?
Again, this is fucking the outtake. Shut up, Drew. Fucking shut up.
And my final thought is
Oh.
I do that weird pause, and then I interrupt you after that pause. That's kind of what I do. That's my superpower.
I did that to him last week too.
Mhm.
Okay.
I do a long pause when you think I'm done, but then I'm not. See how that works?
Shut up, Drew.
I'm like William Shatner.
Oh God.
Oh.